How does a game go from pulling 2 million views on their initial trailer video to 0 people playing their playtest? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it felt like it was really just me and maybe like 6 other people playing that game because everyone I ran to was a bot. Arkheron recently had a playtest for just the weekend, and while I was incredibly excited to try this game out, the combat looked great. The first trailer looked awesome, pulling in, I think, over like 2 million views as well, and I immediately wishlisted it. But unfortunately, I want to say like 90% of my games that I played were the only real players were on my team, and maybe there was 1 or 2 teams in the match that were actually players, but it just felt like I constantly only ran into bots. If you don't know what Arkheron is, it's a fast-paced PvP team game set in a surreal dark fantasy world where items are the heroes. So you don't actually pick classes, you pick up items, and if you pick up enough of them from a specific hero, you become that hero. And this is stuff you do on the fly. You're in teams of 3, and there's roughly 15 teams on a match, and you progress through different stages of the map, you know, should you survive. And you hold down these little king of the hill spots that encourage players to fight over them, because everywhere outside of it becomes like the storm from like Fortnite or whatever, from any sort of battle royale. If you've played one, it encourages players to fight over these nodes to ascend to the next level. After doing the playtest and only playing against bots, you know, it does seem that people's interest pretty much waned, because the first video felt like it had a little bit of story to it, like the characters were kind of talking, questioning their existence, stuff like that. So it did seem like it was like setting the mood.
It's all contradictions.
And then the second you watch the, you know, what is Arkheron video, you know, it paints a different picture. It's a different type of gameplay, and you start to quickly realize that it's actually a battle royale game that, for whatever reason, I don't think they actually use that term. And I think I know why now, that they were trying to not label themselves a battle royale. And now I do want to give Arkheron the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't think that they intentionally misled or anything like that. And I really do think it, you know, maybe it was just a bad weekend. Maybe people had, you know, IRL stuff to actually do. Man, it was just so hard to get a game filled with players. But whenever I did find a game with players, it was a ton of fun. The combat feels great. Hopefully they can figure out the positioning of how they sell this game, because I mean, you know, the combat feels great. The concept is cool. You know, you don't really pick heroes, you pick items. As you're creating your build on the fly, you can either choose a route of doing different items for specific skills you like, or you can, you know, actually try and collect all 4 items for the specific hero, turn into them, gain the ultimate ability, become a lot stronger, and increase your odds of actually winning that match. The items aren't that confusing, you know, obviously, you know, with anything new in itemization, you know, obviously there's a little bit of a learning curve at the beginning, but nowhere near as complex as League of Legends with its like 300 something items. Even if you blindly pick up the items, you know, you'll pretty much be fine. Obviously, you'll probably still get steamrolled, because even the bots will murder you. And it's one of those games that no matter how strong you get, you're still not invincible. The camera movement is probably the hardest thing to get used to. If you've played League of Legends, you're used to the isometric view, but you're probably not used to actually controlling the camera from left to right. So that takes some getting used to, but I feel like you pick it up very quick, very easily. The fights feel impactful. They feel visceral. The sound effects are amazing.
Enemies at the beacon.
It's incredibly satisfying when you actually land an ability, when you lock someone down. They do give you a ton of movement options. You have your sprint, and you have 3 dashes that you can do in quick succession. And while sometimes it makes it a pain when people run away because they have a lot of movement abilities, you have an equal amount to actually catch up to them or keep chasing them. But there are certain weapons that actually give you more ways to lock someone down. It feels very satisfying when someone's trying to run away and you just use a thresh hook to pull them, yank them to you. It is fun, like looting and kind of going through, trying to find the different items, trying to find the different builds, and, you know, trying to progress that throughout the game. And there are areas where you'll find a portal. You'll see off in the distance that there's a lower level. You go through the portal, bunch of loot, couple of PvE enemies to take down, you know, get rewards, gear up, and then off you go on to the next thing. The King of the Hill areas that you have to fight over to ascend to the next level, cool concept. It obviously forces everyone to fight there. There were some times where you just show up to that portal and you just kind of wait 30 seconds or however long it takes to, you know, move on to the next one. And then other times it was like really fun, action-packed, having, you know, one player team come and have to fight over that. It's just one of those things where you can see the potential. You can see that if it was like filled with players, you could see how like hair raising and just like stressful that it would be to do those fights, because there's tons of items in the game to prolong and sustain sustain a fight and ways you can heal yourself, add shield, so on and so forth. I feel like it's lacking some solid progression. Yeah, you go through the match, you upgrade your gear. If you find duplicates, if your teammate finds the item that you need, they can upgrade it for you. While in a positive light, it is very simple and easy to gear up. Like, the concept isn't hard. Like, it's okay, cool, just find the matching thing, it upgrades, find another piece of gear, easy. On the flip side of that, sometimes it almost feels a little too simple. There were times where I either got my 4 items or I got 4 separate items that I just really liked pretty early on, and then it kind of made things pretty simple where, okay, I just need to find the duplicates, upgrade them, get stronger. And then I found myself, at a certain point, not caring or not worrying that hard about finding upgrades. The other thing I think is lacking is some sort of meta progression, some sort of out of run progression that we can, either level up certain things, whether it's a account level or maybe it's cosmetics or other things you can acquire. It does look like there are some like base cosmetics in the game, like you can change the way your guy looks. But if there's a way to unlock more or, a way to look cooler just by default, something to, earn outside of the run, because I feel like nowadays, simply hopping into a game, playing the game, winning or losing, getting out, and that's it is, not enough. We gotta have some sort of progression. Hopefully they can figure out the marketing of the game. Maybe they can position it better to entice more players to play. And definitely we'll check it out for the next playtest. But man, if nobody plays this game and it's just filled with bots, like, it's gonna suck and die, because the concept's cool, the gameplay's cool, it feels great. I had like no crashes, it ran amazing, and I would just really love to see this thing do well. So hopefully people check it out. But that's gonna do it for this one.